They are the powerful engine of the Earth's energy.
If you fell in there, you could get boiled alive.
They support the tallest skyscrapers and are the foundation for over 40 million miles of roads.
All the construction has been based on using crushed stones from the early Roman roads to today's interstates.
Whether they're billions of years old or as young as this morning, they hold the secrets of the universe.
There's no way to put a price on them.
You'll never think of that pebble in your shoe the same way again. Now, get ready to rock on Modern Marvels, rock's greatest hits. Rocks. They may be the most underappreciated objects in the natural world. But we'd be stone cold out of luck without them. Besides providing us with shelter, we extract metal from rocks to construct our machines.
Whether you're sitting in a chair made of steel or you're driving a car made of steel, that steel came from rocks.
We take heat from them for warmth and precious minerals to make medicine.
We rely on rocks to make soil, to grow plants.
At one time, we used them for weapons. They season our food and add sparkle and wealth to our lives.
If you're operating a computer, the silicon chips that make up an important part of that computer come from rocks.
The Earth is one huge ball of rock, 25,000 miles around and over 4.5 billion years old. But a question, what are the most valuable rocks on Earth? They very well may be NASA's collection of lunar rocks, located at the Lyndon Johnson Space Center near Houston. They're housed in a special building at the center, which was constructed to quarantine astronauts and material brought back from the moon during the Apollo missions. The lab is off limits to the general public, and those who work here must observe stringent cleanliness protocols to protect the rocks from any form of Earth contamination. All workers who come in contact with the rocks must wear a bunny suit.
The suit that I'm wearing is a nylon clean room suit. The air that comes into this lab is filtered very well with very, very small HEPA filters, so the air stays very clean. Well, this is the door to the vault where we keep our lunar samples safe. This is equivalent to a Federal Reserve Bank vault, and it's a very, very secure kind of storage. This is a very substantial door, as you will see. And inside here, we keep the samples that are still pristine. We originally brought back 842 pounds. And you can see we have cabinets in here, and these cabinets have nitrogen gas running through them.
The nitrogen protects the rocks from certain elements in the Earth's atmosphere.
On the moon, there is no oxygen and there is no water. The minute the lunar samples were to come in contact with oxygen or water in our atmosphere, they would begin to oxidize, or in simple terms, they would begin to rust. And the samples in a few decades wouldn't be any good for scientific study.
Collecting these geological samples from the moon was a top priority of the Apollo missions. No better clues exist about how the moon formed and evolved. To gather the moon rocks, the astronauts came equipped with custom-designed tools.
These are tongs. They worked by squeezing the handle and the tongs would open. And this enabled the astronauts to pick up rocks off the ground because they really couldn't bend over in their spacesuits.
Some of the rocks the astronauts brought back from the moon were similar to those found on Earth. Many were basalt, a product of volcanic activity.
There were lavas and there were crustal rocks, like the kinds of rocks we make granite tombstones out of.
As the crewmen gathered the rocks on the lunar surface, other rocks, tiny ones, hurtling through space, added an element of danger to their mission. Such rocky debris, including meteorites, also pelts the Earth. But Earth's atmosphere protects us by disintegrating them or slowing them down. The moon, which has no atmosphere, exposed the astronauts to the threat.
They come in at such fast speeds, many times the speed of a bullet. And the spacesuits were made in such a way that they could withstand some of these impacts because the mass of these particles is very small.
Despite the danger, none of the Apollo astronauts were injured by the particles. Back on Earth, scientists believe that the rocks recovered from the moon posed an entirely different kind of threat.
We were concerned that perhaps there were bugs or some sort of Andromeda strain that might exist on the moon, but it was a very rare possibility. We understood that the radiation environment and the lack of an atmosphere on the moon would make it very difficult for a life to survive, but you always want to be cautious in an unknown environment.
Extensive tests determined that the moon rocks contain no hint of alien life. But as hoped, they have helped researchers gain many new insights. Since basalt is a common rock on both the moon and on Earth, studying its chemistry was the basis for a mind-boggling theory on how the moon itself was formed over 4.5 billion years ago.
The leading theory right now for the formation of the moon is that very early in solar system history, a planet or a protoplanet the size of Mars impacted the very early planet Earth. The Mars-sized planet was shattered. The core of that Mars-sized body became part of Earth, and the exterior parts, the crust and the mantle, were all pulverized, and all those particles went into orbit around the Earth. So, for a while, the Earth had a ring system. And then over time, those particles began to slow down and coalesce, and after a while, they had all clumped up, and they became the moon.
But what about the 6 sextillion tons of rock we call planet Earth? By the way, that's almost 800 billion tons of rock for every person on the planet. What are they? In simple terms, rocks are composed of one or more minerals. Minerals are the most solid material found on Earth, and they always have the same chemical makeup. There are 3 basic classifications of rock. One is igneous, like the rocks found in the lava fields of the Hawaiian Islands.
An igneous rock is a rock that's formed from cooled magma. Magma being liquid molten rock that has come to the surface or near the surface like you would see in a volcano.
Another type of rock is sedimentary, like that found in the Grand Canyon.
Sedimentary rocks are formed by erosion, making bigger rocks into smaller rocks. And these smaller rocks, when they lay on top of each other over many, many years, they cement together until they form a solid rock, a sedimentary rock.
The third type of rock is metamorphic. Metamorphic rock forms when a pre-existing rock type is subjected to heat and extreme pressure. This causes a physical or chemical change in the rock.
It could be an igneous rock originally, sedimentary rock originally, or another metamorphic rock. The word metamorphic, meta means change, morph means form, so in some fashion has changed in form, either through a change in the mineralogy or the hardness of the rock.
It can take millions of years for a rock to morph from one form to another. Yet in our never-ending drive to put rocks to use, we're speeding up the process with technology. Sometimes we can almost do the impossible. You ever hear the phrase, sink like a rock? Well, with today's technology, we can reverse that.
We get some products that actually weigh less than water. They'll actually float when you put them in water.
This is lightweight aggregate, but you won't find it in nature. This rock has been manufactured at the Stay-Lite Company in Gold Hill, North Carolina. Composed of sand, gravel, and crushed stone, aggregate is a primary ingredient in concrete. Without concrete, we wouldn't lay foundations strong enough for buildings to scrape the sky, or build titanic dams, or pave the sidewalks leading to our homes. However, all aggregates are not created equal. Lightweight aggregate composed of such light but strong rocks as meta-argillite can make much lighter weight concrete than traditional aggregate. And lightweight concrete is desirable because it can reduce construction costs.
Lightweight aggregate reduces the weight of the concrete by 25 to 30%, which allows you to use a lot less foundation, less reinforcing steels, and there's less seismic mass of the foundations as well.
The rocks that the Stay-Lite Company uses to produce the lightweight aggregate come from North Carolina's Gold Hill Quarry, operated by the Vulcan Materials Company.
This is our meta-argillite. It is not a slate, actually, but it has a slatey appearance. It's very hard,
This rock is so hard, it has to be blasted out of the ground. The explosive used is made of ammonium nitrate, an ingredient also found in yard fertilizers. The explosives are placed in a pattern that will create a domino effect when detonated.
These holes are approximately 46 feet deep. We drill on a 15 by 17 foot pattern. There's a booster. Inside the booster will go a cap. The cap is a non-electric cap. It is set off by a powder substance inside the tube. The amount of rock that's blasted can vary, but here we usually get about 30,000 tons out of a shot.
First stop for these rocks, the rock crusher.
The rock is dumped onto a feeder. This feeder is fastened to a set of something called grizzly bars, and they are like grates with openings between them. These things will feed the rock forward. It allows the smaller rock to fall out and not go through the primary crusher, therefore saving energy.
Up to 7,000 tons of rock are crushed each day. That's the weight of a fleet of almost 4,000 mid-sized automobiles. After crushing, the rocks tumble through several screens to be sorted and are then sent to a rotary kiln. The kiln is where modern alchemy turns heavy rock into light, for it is here that the rock material expands under heat without losing strength.
And as it slowly tumbles through the kiln, the temperature slowly rises up to about 2,100 degrees Fahrenheit. And at 2,100 degrees, the material is actually starting to soften. And then the gases inside, basically sulfur dioxide and some other gases form, and they try to escape. And what they do is they create millions of little non-connected cells, millions of little air bubbles that are entrapped inside the aggregate. Then the material falls and goes through the cooler and it hardens. That's how it gets its slow weight, because none of the cells are actually connected, but there's millions of them entrapped inside the aggregate.
Stay-Lite then sells the cooled aggregate to construction firms all over the world to make lightweight concrete, used in skyscrapers, bridges, and other major construction projects. Coming up, another kind of rock looms large as a building block of modern civilization, ending up in everything from your kitchen to your tombstone.
If it's gorgeous you want, stunning, beautiful, look for the grit. Because it's the pros who are out there, pulling together dozens of projects a year, thousands in a lifetime. They're not cookie cutter and never the same. Pros know what looks amazing, and they know where remarkable is always in stock. At Floor & Decor.
Stop here. Come up here, they're starting.
I am disciplined, physically and mentally tough. Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I am an American soldier.
At Domino's, we're all about cheesy, so you know we had to make our new 5-cheese mac and cheese the crave-worthiest, cheesiest pasta possible. Just like all of our mouth-watering oven-baked pastas. But try one for yourself, including our new 5-cheese mac and cheese next time you order at Domino's.
I'll show you the ropes, kid. Show you the ropes. There it is. I'll show you the ropes.
All the parts you need, guaranteed to fit every time. eBay, things people love.
The warmth of shearling and durability of leather. Enhanced by the elements. Defined by you. Sheepskin coats from Overland.
Sports has always brought people together. We watch it together. We debate it together. There's no coming back from 28 to 3. We talk about it together.
Yo, dude, he just dropped a new video.
All that comes together in Sleeper, the only sports app I use. It has everything. Community, live scores, blazing fast news, fantasy leagues, and picks contests. So you can enjoy sports the way we always have. Together.
I got this $1,000 camera for only $41 on DealDash.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. And this Nintendo Switch sold for less than $20.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56. I got this barbecue smoker for $26.
And shipping is always free.
Go to DealDash.com right now and see how much you can save.
I'm gonna give you this designer bag if you can prove to me that you know your finances.
Well, let's do it.
How many subscriptions do you have?
Probably just Netflix and Spotify.
All right, it's saying you have 13 subscriptions, which is costing you around $270 a month.
What? The app is telling you all of this?
It shows you all your expenses in one place, and it can even help you create a budget, which I think you need.
Coming for me, but okay.
Don't worry about those 13 subscriptions you didn't know you had. You can cancel the ones you don't want right through the app, and it can even help you try and get a refund.
If we find it, it will change history as we know it.
The Curse of Oak Island, new season, Tuesday at 9, only on the History Channel.
Welcome back to Modern Marvels. One type of rock dominates our city landscapes. Carved from nature's majesty into finely cut building blocks of countless classic structures. Granite is synonymous with hardness and durability. You can count on it to last, from the facade of the Empire State Building to your glistening kitchen countertop. And it all comes from quarries like the Rock of Ages in Barrie, Vermont. Over 500 feet deep, the quarry is one of the largest in the world, noted for both the quality of its rock and the extent of a deposit.
Barrie stone itself is just an exceptional granite, probably the finest gray granite yet discovered anywhere in the world. The deposit's been measured by sound technology. It's approximately 4 miles long, 1.5 to 2 miles wide, and is estimated to be up to about 10 miles in thickness.
That's a tower of granite the height of over 36 Empire State Buildings. The deposit at the Rock of Ages, like all granite, is igneous rock. It formed from magma generated millions of years ago by friction between tectonic plates deep below the surface. Less dense than the solid rock surrounding it, the molten material rose up through the cracks in the overlying rock and cooled into the huge granite deposit. Granite from the Rock of Ages quarry has been used in many of America's greatest buildings and monuments.
We were very, very proud to be a part of the fabrication of the National World War II Memorial on the Mall in Washington, D.C. The steps of the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. are also fabricated from Barrie gray granite.
Rocks such as granite and marble are often used as so-called dimension stones.
The term dimension stone refers to stone that's cut to be a certain dimensional size rather than aggregate that's to be used for crushed stone and other purposes.
Often it's taken out of the ground in giant blocks, weighing as much as 200 tons. Because granite is so hard, it takes giant, powerful drills and saws to cut into it. Quarrymen call the process of separating the granite into blocks channeling. To separate a block from the quarry wall, they first have to cut around the sides and the back of the block. One method uses a slot drill.
A slot drill is an air-driven rotary drill. It is set up so that it drills a vertical hole up to about 20 feet in depth. Then the drill rod retracts automatically, moves over on a tracking mechanism. We sink another hole in another until we have a row of closely spaced holes up one side, across the back, and down the other side.
Once workers drill these initial sets of holes, they make another pass at the rock, drilling out the granite between the holes, called the web. But now comes the hard part. They've got to separate the bottom without destroying the equipment. The process is called undercutting. It begins by drilling a series of holes in the bottom of the block and will end with a huge explosion.
We use primer cord. that's often used as a fuse in other industries. Looks like a giant jump rope. It's on a large reel, like a wire. It's reamed into the holes with a metal rod, about every other hole. Then it's tied together electrically and set off remotely.
Fire!
Once loosened, the slabs are lifted to the rim of the quarry by giant derricks, or cranes. The most powerful of the derricks can lift an astounding 200 tons of stone at a time out of the 500-foot deep quarry.
We lower a cable from a derrick and put it in a loop around the perimeter of the stone. We don't go underneath the stone because we would have no way of lifting it up to put the cable underneath it. So we go around the perimeter, actually cut a small notch into each of the four corners of the stone and draw the cable tightly, just like a slip knot, so that the harder that the block pulls on the cable, the tighter it becomes.
Next, the granite goes to a processing plant to be cut and polished. This is where workers craft it into the dimension stones used for our buildings and homes. The most unusual place the granite might show up is 6 feet over your head. Craftsmen first work out tombstone design and lettering on a computer.
Then that design is transferred from paper to a rubber sheet by the computer. The rubber sheet is then temporarily adhered or glued to the surface of the granite, and parts of it are cut away to form a stencil.
A sandblaster then takes over, spewing its abrasive under high pressure at 125 pounds per square inch. Even granite gives way under this assault.
The abrasive actually will hit the rubber, but because it can absorb some of the energy, it deflects and it bounces away.
Well, granite earns its reputation as a tough and versatile player above and below ground. Some rocks are in demand for their durability and beauty. Coming up, we'll unearth another stone that stands the test of time and looks good doing it.
Mark my words, the business will flourish.
What does it take to become a titan of industry?
He saw a need, there was a great deal of demand, and he had the opportunity to supply it.
Find out on a special night that we've built just for you.
That's when the magic happens.
Built America presents Captains of Industry. Begins tonight at 6, only on the History Channel.
Why did we choose Safelite? We're always working on a project. While loading up our SUV, one extra push and crack. So we scheduled at Safelite.com. We were able to track our technician and knew exactly when he'd arrive. We could keep working. Safelite came to us.
Hi, I'm Kendrick.
Replaced our windshield and installed new wipers to protect our new glass. That's service on our time.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
When you order Domino's online, we'll give you a free pizza to use for a future pizza emergency. So you'll have an emergency pizza. A free pizza when you need it most.
There you go. Thank you. You're welcome. Enjoy.
Alvarez.
Alvarez? Who's Alvarez?
Americana for Alvin.
Corporal Alvarez. Well done. Thank you, sir.
New projects means new project managers. You need to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/hire.
Do you guys think we come here too much?
Your cousin from Boston.
Summerale! Oktoberfest! Winter Lager! Cold Snap! Nah! It's Sam season!
At Bombas, we make the most comfortable socks in the history of feet. So comfortable, you'll wish you had more. Visit Bombas.com and get 20% off your first order.
That grimy film on your teeth.
Dr. G?
It's actually the buildup of plaque bacteria, which can cause cavities.
Most toothpaste quit working in minutes, but Crespo Health's antibacterial fluoride protects all day.
It stops cavities before they start.
Crest.
Stop here!
Come up here, they're starting.
Southern New Hampshire University makes it possible for working adults and parents to accomplish their dreams.
We are thrilled to be celebrating our graduates.
SNHU, it's worth it in more ways than you can probably even imagine.
As you start that momentum and get that first class going, the rest just really falls into place.
For anyone that feels like college is impossible, I was right there with you. But I can say today that it is possible because of SNHU.
Go to snhu.edu to get started.
You got this. 1, remember, I don't want surgery for my Dupuytren's contraction.
2, I want to be able to lay my hand flat.
3, I want a non-surgical recovery.
4, I want options, non-surgical options.
And 5,
And if non-surgical treatment isn't offered?
I'll get a second opinion. Let's go.
Take charge of your treatment. If you can't lay your hand flat, visit findahandspecialist.com to get started. Your skin is ever-changing. Take care of it with Gold Bond's healing formulations of 7 moisturizers and 3 vitamins. For all your skins, Gold Bond.
Welcome back to Rock's Greatest Hits on Modern Marvels. It's been a favorite of artists and architects for centuries. Whether used in great works of art like Michelangelo's Statue of David or classic buildings like the United States Capitol and the Lincoln Memorial. Marble is one of the most sought-after materials on the planet and built a global industry worth more than $50 billion.
Marble is such a desirable stone because it unifies two very important things, the beauty and the strength.
Most marble quarries are above ground, but the Vermont Marble Company's mine in Danby, Vermont, is the largest underground marble quarry in the world. Their marble supply here reaches over 1 mile into the earth and is spread over 25 acres. Marble is a metamorphic rock, formed by the alteration of limestone or dolomite. It's so hard, they use diamond wire saws to cut it. Diamonds are the hardest of all rocks, and one of the few strong enough to cut through marble. The diamonds are strung on a flexible wire.
We put it on a certain sequence, and we start with a spring, and we slide it on the cable, and then we use a spacer, and then we use a pearl, what we call pearl because it's round and it's expensive, and it's got diamonds. And we do another spacer, a spring, spacer, a pearl.
When the diamond saws blur into motion, the workers keep their distance in case the wire breaks.
It's very dangerous work. We have to be careful where you're standing because when the wire breaks, you could get hit with pieces coming off the wire, moving at a high rate of speed.
The workers select only the highest grade of stone.
What you're looking at here is the face of the gallery's high area. And that black and gray and brown streak you see in there is what we call tunnel rock. It's not the desirable stuff that we're after. This is actually the stuff that we desire. This particular block right here is what we call an imperial marble. It's some of the finest marble in the world.
Pure white marble is the result of the metamorphism of very pure limestone. When mineral impurities are present in the limestone, they can produce the characteristic swirls and veins in many varieties of colored marble. Blocks sliced from the wall can weigh as much as 1,000 metric tons and are worth about $10,000 before being processed. Workers cut them down to about 45,000 pounds to make them more manageable during transport to the processing plant. It too is underground. Here the marble is cut to the exact dimensions specified by customers. Then it is sent to the polisher.
It has 14 different heads on it, and it has different abrasives that are put onto the head, and then the marble is fed through on a conveyor, and the heads come down, and each one does its part, and when it comes out the other side, you can either have what they call a honed or a glassy finish.
In the past, the quarry stone has been ordered for both the Jefferson Memorial and the United States Supreme Court.
Look out, 'cause here I come.
Have you always had trouble with your weight? Same.
Discover the power of Wegovy.
With Wegovy, I lost 35 pounds. And some
lost over 46 pounds.
And I'm keeping the weight off.
I'm reducing my risk. Wegovy is the only weight management medicine proven to reduce risk of major cardiovascular events such as death, heart attack, or stroke in adults with known heart disease and obesity.
Don't use Wegovy with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines or in children under 12. Don't take if you or your family had MTC, MEN2, or if allergic to it. Tell your prescriber if you are breastfeeding, pregnant, or plan to be. Stop taking and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or any of these allergic reactions. Serious side effects may include pancreas inflammation and gallbladder problems. Call your prescriber if you have any of these symptoms. Wegovy may cause low blood sugar in people with diabetes, especially if you take medicines to treat diabetes. Call your prescriber about vision changes, if you feel your heart racing while at rest, or if you have mental changes. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Common side effects include nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, stomach pain, flu or upset, headache, feeling tired, dizzy or bloated, gas, and heartburn. Some side effects lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
With Wegovy,
I'm losing weight.
I'm keeping it off.
And I'm lowering my CV risk. Check your coverage before talking to your prescriber about Wegovy.
This is the carry-on closet, the suitcase with a one-of-a-kind closet system that keeps you organized anywhere. Pack all you need for up to 10 days and travel without ever unpacking. The comfort of home on the go. Unpack in seconds at Solgaard.co.
A bend with a bump in your erection might be painful, embarrassing, difficult to talk about, and could be Peyronie's disease or PD, a real medical condition that urologists can diagnose and have been treating for more than 8 years with Xiaflex, the only FDA-approved non-surgical treatment for appropriate men with PD. Along with daily gentle penile stretching and straightening exercises, Xiaflex has been proven to help gradually reduce the bend. Don't receive if the treatment area involves your urethra or if you're allergic to any of the ingredients. May cause serious side effects, including penile fracture or other serious injury during an erection, and severe allergic reactions, including anaphylaxis. Seek help if you have any of these symptoms. Do not have any sexual activity during and for at least 4 weeks after each treatment cycle. Sudden back pain reactions and fainting can happen after treatment. Tell your doctor if you have a bleeding condition or take blood thinners, as risk of bleeding or bruising at the treatment site is increased. Join the tens of thousands of men who've been prescribed Xiaflex. Make an appointment with a Xiaflex-trained urologist. Visit bencarrot.com to find one today.
After careful review of medical guidance and research on pain relief, my recommendation is simple. Every home should have Salonpas. Powerful, yet non-addictive. Targeted and long-lasting. I recommend Salonpas. It's good medicine.
La cerveza, que es rica, tan divina, le viene la vida más fina, loca, mi rutina.
When you order Domino's online, we'll give you a free pizza to use for a future pizza emergency. So you'll have an emergency pizza. A free pizza? Here you go.
Thank you.
When you need it most.
The art of living off the grid is a legacy that never ends.
Winter's coming. Get your traps clean. Get ready.
Mountain Men, new episode Thursday at 9, only on the History Channel. Watch next day on the History Channel app.
History Vault is endlessly fascinating. Catch up on past seasons of The Curse of Oak Island.
It's time to dig up some treasure.
The finds, the evidence, the brotherhood, plus so much more. Commercial free. Start your free trial now at historyvault.com.
We now return to rock's greatest hits on Modern Marvels. Our modern world is built on a foundation of iron. Mined in 50 countries for its durability, iron makes up approximately 95% of all metals used today.
Iron is used to make steel. We would not have all of the factories, the appliances, the cars. None of the things that we know today in modern civilization would exist basically without iron and iron ore.
And iron comes from rock like this. When a rock is valuable enough to be mined for the metals or minerals trapped within, it's called ore. Minnesota is one of the most iron-rich states.
Minnesota was blessed with a large deposit of iron called the Biwabik Iron Formation, and it extends for about 110 miles long from Babbitt, Minnesota down to Grand Rapids, Minnesota.
The iron ore began forming over 2 billion years ago, when the area that's now Minnesota was covered by a shallow sea.
The iron source was located to the north of the Iron Range and was from volcanic material, and that was deposited into a water-filled basin and later buried and heated and formed into a hard iron formation rock.
Since the late 19th century, more than 4 billion tons of ore have been mined from the Biwabik Formation.
Iron mining began in 1892 near the town of Mountain Iron, Minnesota. Then from that point on, more and more mining came into place. The initial mines were underground. They later turned into open pit mines.
The most valuable iron ore during the days of Minnesota mining was hematite, which is nearly 60% iron. Within 6 decades, miners had exhausted the rich supply.
It went through World War I, World War II. Vast quantities of iron ore were mined to provide steel for the battleships and the tanks and everything else that went along with those two war efforts. And in the process, of course, a lot of the natural iron ore, the stuff that you could just mine out of the ground, was exhausted. So in the early 1950s, a new process was developed called the taconite process.
With about 22% iron content, taconite ore is nowhere near as rich as hematite, which could be loaded directly from the ground into steel-making blast furnaces. With taconite, the iron content must be extracted grain by grain and then concentrated. Key to the process is taconite's magnetic qualities.
An important characteristic of the taconite that's being mined is that the iron is magnetic, and it can be separated from the non-magnetic material very easily through magnetic separation. To illustrate that point, I'll hold a magnet onto the black material here, and you will see that it sticks. The white material, which is quartz, is non-magnetic, and the magnet falls off.
The process of magnetic separation begins by blasting the stone from out of the ground. The procedure is similar to that used for blasting aggregate loose.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0, fire.
Large haul trucks carry the blasted rock to a processing plant.
This is where we take the blasted ore, we dump it into this crusher. It's a giant gyrating cone that slowly turns, and as it turns, it crushes the ore against the side wall, reduces it in size from this blasted material down to about -6 inches.
From here, the process involves reducing rocks to smaller and smaller bits, so the magnetic iron can be extracted. From the crusher, the rocks go through a series of mills inside the processing plant.
So the first stage of grinding is called the rod mill. And what we do there is we introduce the crushed ore with water and put it into a slurry form, which is just a mixture of water with the ground material. All of our processing is done wet. So we have to mix water with whatever material we have to transport it through the process. And then we feed it into these large mills that rotate and tumble. Inside of these mills, we put large diameter grinding rods. These are about 4 inches in diameter and 20 feet long. And as these rods tumble over with the turning of the mill, they grind the ore into a finer slurry.
Then the slurry goes through its first set of magnetic separators, which attract particles with at least 100 times more power than the magnet on your refrigerator at home.
Magnetic separators are large rotating drums that have permanent magnets inside of them. The magnetic portion of the ground material is then picked up and separated from the non-magnetic portion.
The particles are then sent to ball mills that grind them down to the consistency of face powder.
We use 1.5-inch diameter grinding balls, which are fed into the mill, and as they tumble, they grind the ore even finer.
Not ready yet, the material then goes through another set of magnetic separators. It emerges as a concentrate of about 67% iron.
At that point in time, we then start adding some limestone and dolomite back into the process to make a very special pellet for our customer.
These pellets are the form in which the iron will be fed into the blast furnaces. At first, the concentrate must be dried.
In that plant, we used vacuum disc dryers to actually suck the moisture out of this wet concentrate.
An air blast loosens the particles.
That concentrate is then fed into what we call balling discs, and we spin these discs and we create these pellets, which we call green balls.
Then the pellets are baked in a giant furnace.
And this is a long 260-foot furnace where the pellets are fired at 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit and then cooled down as they exit the process. The pellets have to be hardened to a certain strength in order for them to withstand the transportation that occurs between here and the blast furnace.
The pellets are now over 60% iron.
When the pellets come off the end of the furnace, they're quite hot yet, and when they enter into the stockpile behind us, they're still at a couple of hundred degrees. From here, the pellets are loaded into rail cars and shipped down to a port on Lake Superior. From there, the pellets are loaded into boats where they begin their journey down to the blast furnaces at the southern end of Lake Michigan.
In the blast furnaces, the pellets are melted into molten iron. Some furnaces, using the pellets, can produce over 10,000 tons of molten iron a day. From here, the molten iron will go to foundries, where the steel is made to build our world.
Kinda needs to be more squiggly. Perfect. So now, do you have a driver's license?
Oh, what did you get us?
With the click of a pen, you can get a new Volkswagen at the Sign Then Drive event. Lease a 2024 Taos for 0 down, 0 deposit, 0 first month's payment, and 0 due at signing. Limited inventory available.
I am an American soldier. I am a warrior and a member of a team. I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values. I am an American soldier.
When you order Domino's online, we'll give you a free pizza to use for a future pizza emergency. So you'll have an emergency pizza. A free pizza when you need it most.
There you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy.
I'll show you the ropes, kid. Show you the ropes.
Boom, baby.
I'll show you the ropes.
All the tires you need at prices you love. eBay. Things people love.
We're surprising Twisted Tea superfans with a Twisted Tea drop. Twisted Tea tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol to kick off your game day. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
I got this KitchenAid stand mixer for only $56.
DealDash.com. Online auctions since 2009. This PlayStation 5 sold for only 50 cents. This iPad Pro sold for less than $34. Go to DealDash.com and see how much you can save.
I'll have more on San Francisco's running backyards.
Let me get a 10 to 48.
Wait, what's going on? We're making our picks on Sleeper.
On Sleeper, you pick 2 more players, you can win big, up to 100 times.
Make the bunny or coat over and under. Get one bunny. Pull.
Did you just do it?
You did.
Let me see. I gotta look.
This is the Ridge. It's a modern wallet designed to stay minimal, sleek, and compact in over 50 colors and styles.
And the best part is, it comfortably fits in your front pocket, so you can easily slide it in and out.
There's no better time to upgrade your gear. Find yours at ridge.com.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
Are you waking up in the morning with a sore jaw, headaches, maybe even ringing in your ears, all because you're grinding and clenching your teeth at night? That's exactly what was going on with me. That's when I found this, the Brux Night Guard. Now the Brux Night Guard redirects the bite force away from the back teeth, reducing jaw pain while still protecting the teeth. This unique design is what makes Brux Night Guard different from all other traditional grind guards. Go to bruxnightguard.com and order yours today.
Are you living with painful silences? Just one episode of The Unbelievable can relieve even the most awkward family gatherings.
Did you know that a 16th century king boiled his chef to death?
That's amazing. Tell us more.
I love you, son.
The Unbelievable with Dan Aykroyd. New season Friday at 9. Only on the History Channel.
When it comes to rocks, bigger doesn't always mean better. The smallest rocks of all, sand and gravel, are crucial ingredients in construction projects requiring asphalt or concrete.
Typically, asphalt is in the range of 95% stone products. Concrete is about 80%. For a single-family home, it's about 400 tons of stone.
It's estimated that 38,000 tons of aggregate are necessary to construct 1 mile of a 4-lane interstate highway. Crushed rock, sand, and gravel, and lightweight aggregate have been essential building materials since ancient times.
From a historical perspective, you look back, basically all the construction has been based on using crushed stone, sand, and gravel type products. From the early Roman roads to today's interstates, basically our nation and our economy are based on a solid foundation of construction aggregates.
Unlike rock quarries where we rely on explosives to blast the aggregate loose, the deposits in many sand and gravel quarries come ready-made by Mother Nature. They're situated where the loose rock has existed since prehistoric times, like here, in Prince George County, Virginia. About 100 million years ago, a river ran through this area, leaving layers of rock along its shores.
Weathering breaks the rock down into various size fractions. As they are moved along the river channels, they are rounded and are broken into smaller and smaller sizes.
With each passing century, the river deposited more and more layers of loose sand and gravel.
The excavator is loading material that's not been blasted. It's a loose material that we can dig quite easily.
Sand is composed of rocks such as feldspar, limestone, and quartz. Gravel consists of pebbles, stones, and fragments of such minerals as shale and granite.
We mine the sand and gravel with a 5.6-yard cubic excavator. Our haul trucks are 40-ton articulated trucks. On a good day, we can average between 8,000 and 10,000 tons with this operation. We haul the material to the surge pile, dozer pushes it over, and a loader picks it up and puts it into the feed hopper.
The feed hopper distributes the sand and gravel onto a huge conveyor belt that transports it to the main processing plant.
With the price of diesel fuel going up, we didn't want to have to haul the material over a mile, so we installed almost a mile of conveyor belt that will carry approximately 1,000 tons an hour.
At the processing plant, a vibrating machine with a series of sifting screens separates the sand from the gravel.
Once the material hits the number 1 screen, that material is then sized according to whether it goes into the gravel or the sand circuit.
Each of the screens has a smaller mesh than the one above it. The larger gravel rocks stay at the top, and the smaller sand particles drop to the bottom.
That begins a process of sorting the material by size. It's essentially like this. The material goes across the first screen and then goes through a series of additional screens and is sorted by size in decreasing diameter.
Once separated from the gravel, the sand is sent through an additional screening process in water-filled classifying tanks. Much like panning for gold, the finer sand particles rise to the top of the water separator, and the heavier ones drop to the bottom.
This is the finer sand that we pull out of our coarse sand. We then take this material, let it go by gravity back down to the ground level, pump it back up again, and resize it even further.
After processing, the sand and gravel are ready to be shipped. The construction aggregate business is so competitive that shipping costs are a major concern. Therefore, most quarries are located close to construction site areas.
Construction aggregates are typically used within 20 to 30 miles of their point of production.
That is, unless there are no local suppliers. Then the material will have to be shipped longer distances. In this case, a barge is the likely transport.
This pit is adjacent to the Appomattox River. We ship quite a bit of our material on barges down to the Norfolk area. Finished product is loaded on our barge loadout facility here behind me. Dump trucks dump it in a grizzly hopper up the conveyor belt onto the barge. This barge will hold approximately 2,000 tons.
The aggregate is often shipped to concrete plants, and and then sent off to make our churches, swimming pools, and shopping malls.
Mark my words, a business will flourish.
What does it take to become a titan of industry?
He saw a need, there was a great deal of demand, and he had the opportunity to supply it.
Find out on a special night that we've built just for you.
That's when the magic happens.
Built America presents Captains of Industry. Begins tonight at 6, only on the History Channel.
If you're living with dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy, or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Ask your doctor about Izervay.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay is an eye injection. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Do not drive or use machinery until vision has recovered after an eye injection or exam. Izervay is proven to slow GA progression, which may help preserve vision longer.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
So shift gears and get going. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay.
Hey kids, what do you call the NordVPN Black Friday deal? The Block Friday deal. Woo. Because you block online threats. Black Friday, Block Friday.
Get the Black Friday deal and block online threats now.
When life spells heartburn, how do you spell relief? ROLAIDS. Rolaids dual active formula begins to neutralize acid on contact. Rolaids spells relief.
For over 25 years, Lovesac has been rewriting the rules of comfort. It's okay to change your style. It's okay to change your mind. And to change things up. Get messy. Get immersed. With Lovesac, you make the rules.
Vicks VapoStick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors. Easy to apply for the whole family. Vicks VapoStick. And try new Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors.
Progressive makes it easy to see if you can save money with a commercial auto quote online, so you can get back to your monster to-do list.
Super helpful.
See if you can save money at progressivecommercial.com.
Thank you.
The warmth of shearling and durability of leather. Enhanced by the elements. Defined by you. Sheepskin coats from Overland.
I have a delivery for Athena.
You know any Athena? I don't know any Athena. Twist on it? Yeah. Cream on the right, we'll let him in. Oh! Welcome to Troy! Open the gate!
Oreo, stay playful.
We're surprising Twisted Tea superfans with a Twisted Tea Drop. Twisted Tea tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea and 5% alcohol to kick off your game day. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
At Domino's, we're all about cheesy. From our melty oven-baked pastas to our new 5-cheese mac and cheese. And for a limited time, Domino's Rewards members can try our new mac and cheese for half off points.
We now return to Rock's greatest hits on Modern Marvels. The world is looking for sources of clean, reliable, and renewable energy. Northern California has found it.
We're in the Mayacamas Mountains of California's Coast Range at the Geysers Power Plants. The Geysers Power Plants are geothermal power plants that cover 40 square miles of the mountains here and generate enough electricity to provide 850,000 households with electric power.
It's the largest geothermal area as far as producing power in the world.
And where does this geothermal energy come from? Hot rocks. In most places, molten rock or magma exists very deep in the earth, where temperatures are extremely high. The geysers area is unique in that the magma is very close to the Earth's surface.
The heat that supplies the geysers is supplied from liquid magma about 5 miles deep. This liquid magma is left over from a volcanic period that existed here about 1.3 million years ago. That volcanism is long since gone, but it's left behind these pools of magma.
In some of the geysers, this heat bubbles right up to the surface.
This is a steam vent, also known as a fumarole, and it's evidence that we're very close to a geothermal resource here. Steam exits that vent at 250 degrees, causing that water to boil. If you fell in there, you could get boiled alive.
The owners of the Calpine Corporation operate most of the geyser power plants, but they aren't the first ones to take advantage of this unique place.
This area was known to the Indians thousands of years ago when they lived here. They utilized the hot springs for hot steam and for hot water. Later on, in about 1847, an explorer named William Bell Elliott happened on this area and was really quite surprised to see steam venting out of the ground and hot bubbling mud coming up. And so he returned to his companions exclaiming that he'd found the gates of hell.
During the 1920s, several attempts were made to tap the geothermal energy resources here for electrical power. But it wasn't until the 1950s that drilling technology became advanced enough to make the resource truly productive.
They started drilling thermal wells deep into the Earth's core to capture the steam and utilize it to generate power. From there, in the 60s, the first plant was built, and since then, they've built up to 23 plants that have operated up here in the geysers almost for 50 years.
The wells at the geysers don't have to reach all the way down to the liquid magma, but only to where the rocks are hot enough and there is enough water to create a large supply of steam. Nevertheless, many of the wells are drilled over 2 miles into the ground until they reach sandstone.
The sandstone's been heated and it has water in it that turned into steam. But on top of that sandstone is what's called a cap rock. And that cap rock holds all that heat and steam pressure down in the rock. We drill down through that cap rock and into what we call a geothermal reservoir. And that reservoir is highly fractured so that there's cracks and fissures that allow that steam to travel essentially through the rock and then into our well bore pipe.
The drilling equipment is identical to that used for oil and gas wells.
This kind of drilling that we're in right now, we're in hard rock drilling, very deep. We use these tungsten carbide bits here. These are the cutting edges here. It's very, very hard. It wears very, very long time.
Once drilled, the steam is channeled into an intricate network of pipelines, stretching over 100 miles.
This is a geothermal wellhead connected to a steam well that extends 2 miles underground. The steam exits this wellhead at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and the steam's transported down the pipeline at 70 miles an hour to the power plant.
The pipe itself originates from rock material, primarily iron ore.
Pipe's made out of iron. When iron gets hot, it expands. When the iron starts out cold when it's first installed, it might only be 35, 40 degrees here at the geysers, and this is 350 degrees right here. So the pipe has to be allowed to expand and contract, and that's why everything is mounted on these little shoes like this. That gives us some leeway when it gets hot and cold to slide back and forth.
The steam is piped to giant turbines. This power is then transferred to a generator.
That generator is generating 50 megawatts of electricity right now, enough to power 50,000 homes.
The electricity is then sent all over Northern California. Then, it's time for the water to pay another visit to the hot rocks.
What you see behind me here is the power plant cooling tower. After the steam has expended its energy in the turbine, it's condensed and sent out here to the cooling tower to be cooled where it could be injected back into the ground to produce more steam. What you see coming out of the top of the cooling tower is not smoke, it's just pure water vapor that's being cooled through evaporation.
We have an endless supply of energy in which we can generate power. This is renewable energy that works around the clock. The geothermal power comes up naturally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Across the globe, many countries are looking to the heat of hot rocks for future energy needs.
The potential for geothermal energy is huge. The Earth has an inexhaustible supply of energy. Worldwide, geothermal energy is produced in about 20 different countries.
In the areas of the world where steam isn't as close to the surface as it is at the geysers, engineers are experimenting with a process called hot dry rock technology.
In hot dry rock geothermal technology, there's no steam locked up in the hot rock that exists down under the crust. So what engineers have tried to do is drill down into that rock and then, taking whatever water source they happen to have available at the surface, pump it down into a well
let it work its way out into the cracks and fissures in that hot, dry rock, and then drill more wells around the perimeter and try to recover that water as steam to produce electricity.
The wells have to be deeper with hot rock technology, but theoretically, the process could produce enough energy to supply the entire world's demands. Not bad for a bunch of rocks. Whether they're creating energy for our homes, iron for our industries, or concrete for our infrastructure, rocks partner with us in stony silence. They've stood by us in the past, and they will support our future. Rock on. It gives us shelter, holds up entire cities, and inspires our ingenuity.
It really allowed man to branch out all across the world.